Hi, I am Maurice White. The following video was recorded on May 6th. I want to thank NGBN and the Nevada Appeal for the opportunity to appear on our local grassroots TV. This video, however, has been edited for brevity. While just myself and my general election opponent remain, nothing has been added or subtracted that alters the candidate's remarks. Please enjoy the video, and we'll talk again at the end.
Welcome back to the Carson City candidate debate. This debate is live on Wednesday evening, May 6th, but you can watch it on demand on the 17 stations, the 17 platforms, I should say, of NGBN TV, Carson City TV Network. That includes Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, as well as on our Facebook page, NGBN Carson City TV, and on the Nevada Appeal Facebook page. The Appeal is our journalistic partner in tonight's debate. We're going to start with the candidates for Warren 2, and I should tell you before we start that candidate Lauren Howell declined our offer to participate. The other candidates have drawn cards for starting positions in the order in which they will appear. And our first candidate this evening is Maurice Mo White. Mr. White, you have 2 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you for that introduction, Brent. Thank you to everybody that's watching tonight. Carson City is my home, except for going to high school in Douglas County and trade school in Phoenix. Carson City has been my home. I raised my children here. My 40-year career was mostly as a medium heavy-duty diesel mechanic in both the private and public sectors. I worked in the on and off-road transportation, agrarian, and construction fields. I've also worked as a gardener, a laborer, as an outside salesperson, and in the restaurant industry. I've held positions requiring varying levels of education, training, and responsibility from entry level to department manager. In my career, I attained the skills to collaborate with all manner of people to take action and accomplish the goals that the companies I worked for and our community needed. As each agenda item comes forward, I will look to our founders' principles and philosophies to guide my decisions. All of the questions tonight are budget questions. You will hear a single theme from me: health and safety. That should have been the priority in the past, and it will have to be the priority going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Our other candidate for Ward 2 Supervisor is Stacy Wilkie McCullough.
I am in my 11th year serving as your elected school board official for District 3. In those 11 years.
Okay, Stacy, we're going to ask you to start over as well. Sorry for the interruption, but we will also restart the clock.
Thank you. Thank you again for having us, Brent, and the NGBN and Nevada Appeal and staff. A little background on me: I am born and raised here, graduated in 1983 from Carson High, the year of Matt Williams, everybody says. I'm in my 11th year on the school board here with District 3. In those 11 years, I have represented Carson City at the state level in leadership roles in the Nevada Association of School Boards and as the National School Board Association for the Pacific region. We've been and also involved in the NIAA as the Region 2 Control Board member, and was appointed by the Governor Sandoval on the Council of Family Engagement for the last 4 years. My first career here, coming back to Carson after leaving to go to school, came back to raise my family and worked in the casino industry, worked in marketing and My last job was the general manager at the now closed Carson Horseshoe Club. I'm now working on my second career with my husband, who has a handyman business here in town. I have 2 daughters and a stepson, all of which went to the Carson City schools. And I have been blessed with a new grandson. So we're just happy to be here and glad to have this forum in these weird times. Thank you.
Thank you. As we start the questions, you should know that the candidates each received the questions by email 24 hours ago, so these will not come as a surprise. And our first question of the evening is directed to Maurice White. Funding for local road work remains a serious problem. Like other municipalities, Carson City basically relies on the gasoline tax for road repairs. In fiscal year 2020, the city had roughly $3 million to spend on road repairs, and estimates show that the need was approximately 5 times that much. So, how would you raise additional revenues for streets and roads in the city, in the state, or at the national level, and how would you go about implementing your idea?
Thank you, Brent. First of all, staff does have an asphalt management plan. They know the issues and they know the work that is needed. The problem is we haven't funded all of the needed work. The only way I know to actually increase revenues for streets is to ask the voters to tax themselves. Canceling frivolous optional projects can shift some funds to needed street maintenance. And I think we need to renegotiate the 1997 NDOT contract for the freeway. That could give us quite a bit of relief. That contract is costing Carson City residents millions and millions of dollars every year. We need relief from this contract. Later this month, staff will present a report on the asset management program. At that point, we will know some baseline information that will help us move forward identifying priorities. We will have to collaborate with every department, every employee, and every resident of Carson City to get to where we are identifying reasonable priorities. Additionally, the growth management plan provides for banking funds that will be used when development triggers facility upgrade thresholds. Generally, I don't like grants, especially federal grants, because of the strings that they come with. But at this time, we will have to work hard to find grants that are within our sensitivities so that we can get our streets into better shape. Thank you.
Thank you. McCulloch, how would you raise more money for our roads? We're looking at a still picture of Stacy, and we're trying to get her back live. The term frozen has taken on new meaning since the movie, but we're hoping to get her back before we move on to another question. If we have to move on, we'll come back to include her. I'm going to move on to the second question. So we'll come back to Stacy and we'll give her a shot at 2 questions at once. But we're going to go back to Mo White for this one. The Carson City Board of Supervisors recently approved a tentative fiscal year budget for the year 2021 of approximately $160 million. That is a slight decrease from this year's $176 million budget. And in all reality, the city will likely lose revenue because of the shutdown over the COVID-19 crisis. So, how do you propose cutting the city budget?
Well, it's really pretty simple. As I said in my opening statement, we're going to concentrate on health and safety items that our businesses, our residents, and our visitors expect. With the lag times in reporting, staff is only just now getting real facts about what the revenue shortfall will be. But they have made expert, educated projections out to 2021. The budget will mostly be set when I take office, but this is going to be a series of adjustments. Previously, I asked the mayor to reevaluate the capital improvement projects and stop projects not related to mandatory health and safety items. Subsequently, the Board of Supervisors found about $900,000 in cuts. I asked that the newly approved 11 full-time positions be frozen, as well as the pending wage and benefit increases. Where it's appropriate, the $2.5 million in new vehicle and equipment purchases should be at least postponed. With so much of our budget being in restricted categories, there aren't very many places to find significant budget cuts. The consolidated tax is going to get hit hard, and that is what will drive our budget decisions. While the C-tax is only 38% of the general fund, it offers the most opportunities to find savings. The other large revenue source, the property tax, is 33% of the general fund. Hopefully, the property tax doesn't get hit as hard as the C-tax will. Thank you.
Back live. Stacy, we're going to start with this second question. How would you cut the city budget?
Well, thank you, Brent. Glad to be back. Just like the school budget we're working with, the two main things are always salaries and capital projects. Those are the two things that make up the biggest of our pie. We still don't know what the deficit is going to end up being. So like the other candidates have said, we're going to have to wait and see. I think that the supervisors have done a good job of getting rid of a lot of the fat to bring it down to where it is, but we won't know what we need to cut until we get there. And like everyone else has said, health and safety is our main issue. We want to make sure that we have the firemen and the policemen and all of our health things intact. As a school board member, we've looked at when we get to these big deficits in the recession, we used to have community meetings where we would have the public come and tell us what their priorities were. And so we would know what we could cut and what couldn't cut and what impact it would have on citizens. So we're just going to have to wait until we find out what's going to go on and try to make the best of it and work together as a board and collaborate and make sure that it's the least financial impact on our citizens.
Stacy, you're still in the hot seat. We're going to go back to our first question, which you did not have the opportunity to answer. How would you bring in additional revenues for our streets?
This is a tricky question, and I think it comes down to we've always had, like any other governmental funds, when you get grants or you go out with federal or state money, they always come with strings. So we're finding out, what that causes. I go back to the same thing with the voters. We need to go back to the vote and have that gas tax passed. It was a 2-to-1 margin, and the same thing happened with the school board bonds. Back in the 90s, we had our first bond, and it got completely killed. So what we did for the next bond is we put in a citizens committee so that when we would get these people involved in the process, they understand it and understand the needs, and they can tell us which direction we need to go now that they've worked on having these transportation zones. So I think it's, as much as we don't want to talk about it, we're probably going to have to go back to the ballot and get a gas tax back on to get our roads back to where they need to be. And it'll still be a long haul, but at least this way, having a citizens committee, like a watch guard committee, make sure that we are spending those on the roads that they want to spend them on and where we need to do the most. Thank you.
Thank you. It's time for our third and final question for these candidates now, and we're going to start with Mr. White again. The public health crisis may trigger a recession during your term. What should be the city's priorities?
Well, again, as I said in my opening statement, it's going to be concentrating on the health and safety items. That has to be number one. We get there with the asset management program. The asset management program, by its very nature, encompasses nearly every aspect of our local government. And it won't just identify what the work is that we need to do. The asset management program will help us make fact-based decisions on things such as employee numbers, administrative actions like when to schedule and fund projects, and it will tell us things like when technology upgrades are needed. You know, the list of attributes for this asset management program probably has more items on it than our bad road list. This is something that I have for years advocated for. A ton of work has already been done on this asset management program. I don't want to take credit for the work that has been done, but I want to help get this program fully functional and fully funded. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy Wilkie McCulloch, assuming a recession, what are your priorities?
Following in the footsteps of the other two candidates, it would definitely be the health and safety. I think the asset management program that the supervisors have already put in place is going to help soften this blow, even though it's going to be a big blow. But I think we're going to have to really look at looking at, you know, can we keep the library open, or do we need to keep the firemen going? It's going to come down to what is necessary to keep Carson City going and keeping it strong and ready to keep in recovery and get back to where we were before this started.
I thank all three of you candidates for rolling with the punches as we've gotten started this evening. It's now time for your closing remarks, and we're going to stick with the same order. So we start with Maurice White.
Thank you, Brent. I certainly appreciate this opportunity this evening. In my perspective comes from a wide range of experiences and responsibilities that will be a valuable addition to our city government. I want to be in a position to help set reasonable priorities that will properly care for our tax money expenditures. I have nothing to gain from asking you to hire me for this job. Being retired, I have the time and inclination to commit to this job. This is all about helping our community with a well-rounded, principled approach to constitutional governing. My years of attending city meetings and participating in the outcome demonstrates my knowledge of city operations and my commitment to our community. I usually know the right questions to ask. In addition to several volunteer and philanthropic efforts, I previously participated in creating the Open Space Master Plan, the Carson River Corridor Master Plan, the Arts and Cultural Master Plan, the Prison Hills Operation Plan, now being made into a master plan, the current Carson City 5-year strategic plan that is now being revised, the BLM Carson District Travel Master Plan. I served on the Airport Authority Board, closing out my term as the treasurer. I ask for your support in this election. I need more than your vote. I need your help. Please reach out to me with any help you might be able to offer at 775-297-6484. Thank you again for the opportunity this evening, and I look forward to representing you as supervisor for Ward 2 here in Carson City. Thank you.
Thank you. Stacy Wilkie McCulloch.
Thank you. I know that my years on the school board have given me the tools and the skills that are needed in this position, especially during these tough times. I know that if you know me, you know that I am open-minded, I listen to all sides, collaborate well with others. I strive to improve the status quo, and I respect everyone's view, and I am very accessible. I have been through times where we've had to make tough decisions, and when you're on public boards, it's a tough thing to do because you see everyone in the grocery stores and the hardware stores, and they tell you, but it's a good way to get information. I'd like to thank NGBN and Nevada Appeal again, Cassandra Butterfield, and you, Brent, for taking this on, and especially for the staff that's putting this on behind the scenes. This is a tough thing to do in these days and times, and we do appreciate their time and hard work for taking this on in this time to get us to be able to talk to our constituents and tell the differences between us candidates. I hope that you'll vote for me, Stacey Wilkie McCulloch. We're all in this together, and let's stay safe and mail in those ballots. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be right back with our Ward 4 candidates.
Well, it's obvious to us, and we hope you agree, that in this race, I am the only candidate prepared to do the job being applied for. I continue to improve my relationship with city staff and our community, strengthening my ability to help guide our government to responsible priorities. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you will support my campaign as we work toward the November elections.